Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, where today we're diving into something that's crucial for, well, your survival. We're talking about building an emergency fund. I know, this doesn't sound super fun, right? But hear me out. Imagine a world where your car suddenly decides it's had enough, or your refrigerator goes on strike. And instead of panicking, you calmly say, "No problem, I got this." That's what an emergency fund can do for you. Turn financial catastrophes into minor inconveniences. So, let's talk about how to build one and how to do it without the stress that makes you want to crawl under a blanket and stay there forever. Ready? Let's do this. Takeaway number one: know what an emergency fund actually is and what it's not. Okay, first things first. What even is an emergency fund? Spoiler alert: it's not just a random stash of cash under your mattress or that $20 bill you found in your winter coat pocket from 2 years ago. No, an emergency fund is a dedicated pile of money for life's unexpected chaos. Like when your car breaks down or you suddenly need to pay for emergency dental work because apparently biting into hard candy was a bad idea after all. But let's be very clear: an emergency fund is not for spontaneous road trips or that discounted air fryer you swear will change your life. An emergency fund is the thing that stops you from falling into a financial pit whenever life throws a curveball. It's like your personal financial airbag, there to cushion the blow when things get rough. And the best part? When you have an emergency fund, you won't need to panic buy stress relief candles every time something goes wrong. Takeaway number two: set a realistic goal. No, it's not $1 million. All right, let's talk about numbers. Specifically, how much you should aim to save. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, I need at least $1 million in my emergency fund to feel secure. But let's bring it down to earth. The rule of thumb is to start with a goal of saving 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses. Now, before you throw up your hands and say, 3 to 6 months of expenses? I can barely save for next week's groceries. Relax. We're going to take this step by step. If 3 to 6 months sounds impossible right now, start with a smaller goal like $500 or $1,000. Just enough to cover the typical unexpected costs, like a car repair or an unplanned vet visit. Trust me, even having $500 set aside can make a huge difference when life inevitably goes, surprise, bet you weren't ready for this. So, set a realistic goal. And remember, it's okay to start small. You're building a safety net, not a fortress. Baby steps, people, baby steps. Takeaway number three: figure out where your money is going, aka the fun part. You can't save money if you don't know where it's disappearing to, right? This means it's time to play detective. Put on your magnifying glass and dig into your spending. And I get it. Nobody wants to see that they spent $100 last month on fancy coffees and essential scented candles. But this is a crucial step. Take a look at your bank statements and start categorizing your expenses. Are you spending more than you realized on things you don't need? Spoiler, probably. And don't worry, everyone's been there. You see, when you actually track your spending, you'll find those sneaky little expenses you forgot about, like that monthly subscription to the premium cat video service you swear you canceled 2 years ago. Once you know where your money is going, you can make adjustments. Maybe you don't need to buy takeout every night, or maybe, just maybe, you can skip the 10th streaming service. This isn't about depriving yourself, it's about redirecting a little bit of that cash into your emergency fund, so that when things go wrong, you won't be shaking your fist at your past self for spending all your money on pizza deliveries. Takeaway number four: make saving automatic, because you can't trust yourself to remember. All right, let's be real. Manually saving money requires way too much discipline. And let's face it, most of us don't have that level of discipline. I mean, we're the same people who say, I'll just watch one episode, and then proceed to binge watch an entire season. So let's make this easy. Automate it. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to your savings account every time you get paid. This way, the money goes into your emergency fund before you even see it, out of sight, out of mind. And you won't be tempted to spend it because it's already safely tucked away. Plus, there's something magical about watching your savings grow without even trying. It's like adulting on autopilot. Even if it's just $20 or $50 a paycheck, that adds up. And the best part? You don't even have to think about it. Just set it, forget it, and watch as your emergency fund slowly but surely grows. Future you is already grateful. Takeaway number 5. Cut back on non-essentials without becoming a hermit. Let's talk about cutting expenses. But don't worry, this doesn't mean you have to go minimalist and live in a tent. We're not getting rid of everything you enjoy, just trimming the excess. Stuff you think you need but can live without. Take out every night? Maybe it's time to cook something besides ramen. That streaming service you only use to watch one show? Time to cancel. We all have luxuries we're attached to, but if you're serious about an emergency fund, sacrifices are worth it. This doesn't mean cutting all the fun, just be more strategic. You can still have fun, just with fewer luxuries. Instead of eating out every weekend, try a potluck with friends. Instead of splurging on new clothes, check out a thrift store. It's about balance. You're saving for emergencies, but still living. Takeaway number 6. Sell stuff you don't need. Goodbye, clutter. What's better than too much stuff cluttering your house? An emergency fund. Time to Marie Kondo your life. If it doesn't spark joy, sell it. We've all got gadgets, old clothes, or books we'll never read. Instead of letting them gather dust, turn them into cash. Use platforms like Facebook Marketplace, eBay, or Craigslist. It's a win-win. Declutter, make a few bucks, and toss that cash into your fund. Half the stuff we own ends up forgotten in a closet. Selling helps build your cushion and keeps your space tidy. Less stuff, more money, fewer headaches. Takeaway number 7. Side hustle. Your way to safety. If your 9 to 5 paycheck isn't cutting it, why not try a side hustle? I know you're thinking, I barely have energy for my job. But hear me out. Side hustles can be fun, especially if you pick something you enjoy. Love dogs? Try dog walking. Good with crafts. Set up an Etsy shop. Got a car? Deliver food. So many side hustles exist, and they don't have to consume your life. A few extra hours can make extra cash that goes into your fund. Yes, this sounds like extra work. It is. But think of it as short-term effort for long-term gain. The more you set aside now, the sooner you'll hit your goal and relax. Takeaway number 8. Reward yourself for milestones. Saving money can feel like a slog. Celebrate the wins. Set milestones, like saving $500, $1,000, and so on. Each time you reach one, give yourself a reward. It doesn't have to be huge. Maybe dinner out or buy that book you've been eyeing. The point is to stay motivated. Building an emergency fund is a long game, and if you're grinding with no rewards, you'll burn out. Treat yourself. You're doing something awesome, and that deserves celebration. Rewarding yourself makes the journey fun. It's like giving yourself a high five. We all need more high fives. Takeaway number 9. Keep your emergency fund separate, out of reach, out of mind. Here's a trick. Keep your emergency fund in a separate account. It should be one you don't touch unless it's an emergency. Make it inconvenient to access so you're not tempted to dip into it for non-emergencies. Consider a high-yield savings account. It's separate from your checking and it earns interest, which is a bonus. It's like your money is working for you, very slowly, but still working. The goal is to ensure your fund is there when needed. You don't want to blow through it on a whim and then be stuck when your car's transmission dies. Keep it separate, keep it safe, and pretend it doesn't exist. Takeaway number 10. Don't panic if you have to use it. That's what it's for. You've built your emergency fund, but then an emergency happens and you have to use it. Some of you might think, no, I don't want to touch my savings. But remember, this is why you have it. Don't feel guilty about using it. That's what it's for. Life happens and emergencies come up. Whether it's a medical bill, car repair, or another expense, Your emergency fund is your safety net. Once you use it, your next step is to build it back up. It might feel like a setback, but that's okay. You did it once, so you know you can do it again. The point is, you had that safety net when you needed it, and that's a win.